In the eastern Sahara Desert lie the mysterious ruins of the greatest civilization that has ever existed on Earth. Towering pyramids and temple buildings created from megalithic stone blocks, combined with highly complex networks of tunnels and chambers, are scattered across the desert landscape. Of course, we are talking about ancient Egypt. For thousands of years before the rise of the Roman Empire, Egyptian civilization flourished along the banks of the Nile. Conventional archaeologists suggest that the dynastic Egyptians emerged from a collection of tribes some 5,000 years ago, thus forming the first civilization in the region. Their legends, however, tell of a period known as Zep Tepi, a golden age of prosperity when the gods walked among the people of Earth. This period, however, was thousands of years before their time, and they point to it as the progenitor of civilization as we know it. As archaeologists continue to study the various monuments both above and below the scorched sands of Egypt, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The most complex structures, built using megalithic blocks that were precisely cut and placed in places, such as the Osireion at Abydos or the Serapeum at Saqqara, appear to be some of the most ancient sites. This discovery continues to defy the traditional narrative that dynastic Egyptians were responsible for the construction of such sites. Several ancient sites, including the Egyptian Sphinx, show clear evidence of having been built long before the currently accepted time period, with some researchers going so far as to argue that they were built before the end of the last ice age. This suggests that a pre-Egyptian civilization may be responsible for many of the megalithic sites and architectural wonders found throughout the African country. One of the sites is even suggested to have been built before the Great Flood, which is thought to have occurred more than 11,000 years ago. On the west bank of the Nile in the modern city of Giza are the most recognizable pyramids on Earth. Here are positioned the monumental pyramids of Menkaure, Khafra, and Khufu, the last of which is often referred to as the Great Pyramid. These awe-inspiring structures have attracted the attention of scholars for thousands of years, many of whom have stood in the shadows of these monuments trying to understand how a Stone Age culture could have achieved such an architectural marvel. Conventional archaeologists often date the construction of the Great Pyramid from 2550 to 2470 BC, claiming that the dynastic Egyptians were responsible for this engineering masterpiece. Thought to be the elaborate tomb of Pharaoh Khufu, to this day, no mummy or human remains of any kind have been found in its various chambers and corridors. The Great Pyramid towers over the desert landscape at a height of about 147 meters, 481 feet, and consists of over 2,200,000 stone blocks, each carefully carved and placed to form this incredible monument. Each limestone block that makes up the body of the pyramid weighs about 2 tons on average. Deep within the structure above the so-called King's Room, however, are numerous huge granite beams that experts say weigh up to 70 tons. How the dynastic Egyptians managed to cut and move such monumental blocks of granite continues to baffle the great historians of our time. It is one of the magnificent feats of engineering that can be observed at the site. Experts also note that the base of the structure is aligned to within a centimeter, 3/4 of an inch, a precision that modern humans achieve with the aid of lasers. In building the pyramid, the builders also used advanced mathematics, applying principles similar to the Pythagorean theorem. The pyramid is also aligned with the north, east, south, and west axes, a remarkable achievement that shows not only their level of knowledge in astronomy, but also the religious significance of the monument. The north-south alignment of the pyramid is particularly important as it symbolizes the journey to the afterlife. While this may sound impressive, in the measurements and calculations conducted, the researchers came across several unique mathematical principles encoded in the pyramid that shouldn't exist at all. One of the most unusual aspects of the Great Pyramid is its relationship to the speed of light. According to modern physicists, light travels at exactly 299,792,458 meters per second. At first glance, this in itself is just an unusual number, but when we check the coordinates of the Great Pyramid of Giza in an online mapping system, we are astonished. Clicking almost to the top of the pyramid, guess what are the first digits of the inscribed coordinates? That's right, the number of the movement of light in meters per second. We can't deny that this fact is pretty amazing, can we? especially if we go further in our reasoning and think of all those theories that claim that the pyramids served some sort of connection to space or served as giant energy generators charged and powered by radiant energy. Yet let's assume that you still think this is nothing more than pure coincidence, and the ancient builders knew nothing about the speed of light in meters. What then about the fact that the pyramid's dimensions are directly related to the Earth's equatorial circumference and polar radius? Simply put, this implies that the dimensions of the Earth are encoded in the structure of the pyramid. Graham Hancock elegantly explains this unique mystery as follows. When you take the height of the pyramid and multiply it by 43,200, you get an accurate printout of the Earth's polar radius. When you take the perimeter of the base of the pyramid and multiply it by 43,200, you get an accurate printout of the equatorial circumference of the Earth. Graham Hancock continues, the Great Pyramid contains the dimensions of our planet on a scale of 1 to 43,200. But even this scale is not random. The number 43,200 is based on one of Earth's major motions. This mathematical encoding implies a level of knowledge and understanding of Earth's dimensions that is far beyond what we normally associate with ancient civilizations. It raises many questions about the true capabilities of the pyramid builders. When we approach the tall monument and look at its many blocks of basalt, which incidentally is an extremely strong stone, they look as if they have been worked with some kind of machinery. The smooth cut marks, often at 90 or 180-degree angles, and the drill holes in many of the blocks raise the question of the tools the ancients used to work these stone blocks. Many of the cutting marks are so precise that researchers suggest they exceed the capabilities of even hardened bronze tools and abrasives such as quartz sand. Is it possible that we are observing some form of ancient machining used by the ancient pyramid builders? If so, why did the dynastic Egyptians leave no evidence of such devices in their hieroglyphic drawings? Indeed, why did the ancient Egyptians, known for their love of art and recording important events, leave no record of the construction of the pyramids? The level of precision evidenced at the Great Pyramid, including the mathematical principles used and the accuracy of its construction, combined with the lack of evidence to support the tomb theory, leads many to speculate that the Great Pyramid may have had an alternative purpose. Others, on the other hand, suggest that we have got it completely wrong, and that this megalithic masterpiece is thousands of years older than originally thought. In recent decades, several respected scholars and professors who have visited many of Egypt's most notable sites have begun to propose the version that some of them may be much older than the date currently attributed to them. Robert Schoch, an American professor of natural sciences at the College of General Studies in Boston, who earned a doctorate in geology, has argued that the Sphinx, which sits in front of the Great Pyramid, may be more than 10,000 years old. According to Schoch, strong water erosion can be seen at the base of the Sphinx monument. He claims this is the result of heavy rains and water runoff, the likes of which have not occurred in the Sahara Desert for over 5,000 years. In conclusion, scientists say this must have happened during the end of the last ice age about 10,000 years ago, when sea levels began to rise, which some believe led to devastating flooding. This has led others to suggest that the Great Pyramid itself may have been created during the same period, and that it may be more than 10,000 years old. The Great Pyramid is oriented precisely to the true north. To be correct, it is off by exactly 1/15 of a degree. Again, this is an astonishing achievement, considering that there is no evidence to suggest that the ancient Egyptians created any kind of compass. According to archaeoastronomers, the Great Pyramid was aligned with the true north more than 13,000 years ago. Over time, however, the true north changed due to the Earth's axial precession. Other interesting evidence indicates that the Great Pyramid and the two flanking pyramids on the Giza Plateau were once aligned with the 3 stars of Orion's belt. However, the last time they were in perfect alignment was about 10,400 years ago. This brings us to the main question. Did the dynastic Egyptians simply inherit the pyramids, which were then abandoned in the Sahara Desert, and adopt them as their own? Is it possible that this megastructure is essentially pre-Egyptian, meaning that it was built thousands of years before the emergence of dynastic Egyptian civilization? If we combine the archaeological evidence with the astrological arrangements, we get a theory that suggests that the Great Pyramid of Giza predates the dynastic Egyptians by more than 8,000 years. But if this is true, do we have evidence of a lost ancient civilization? One that could have precisely hewn and transported huge blocks of stone over great distances, and that possessed considerable knowledge of mathematics and astronomy? Could this be evidence of the Zep Tepi period, the historical period when humans were so advanced that all who came into contact with them viewed their achievements as the work of gods? Share your thoughts in the comments. This theory becomes even more interesting when we look at some finds discovered in Egypt that scientists simply have no idea how to explain. From Nabta Playa to the Serapeum at Saqqara, we look for the evidence of an advanced pre-Egyptian civilization and technology that could change everything we know